Japan, 1877. The age of the samurai was coming to an end. On the slopes of Kagoshima, thousands of government soldiers closed in on a force of warriors who had once ruled the country for centuries. Outnumbered and facing modern rifles and artillery, the samurai stood their ground, carrying swords that had become symbols of another era. Their final stand has become one of history's most enduring images. But the real story of the samurai began nearly 1,000 years earlier. They were more than master swordsmen. They were military commanders, political leaders, landowners, and servants bound by loyalty in a changing world. To understand how they rose to power and why they eventually disappeared, we have to return to the beginning. Long before the samurai became legends, Japan looked very different. More than 1,000 years ago, the emperor ruled from the elegant city of Kyoto, where poets, artists, and nobles shaped life at the imperial court. It was a world of beautiful gardens, flowing silk robes, and refined ceremonies. But beyond the capital, the emperor's influence began to fade. Across the countryside, powerful landowners struggled to protect their estates from bandits, rival clans, and local rebellions. The imperial government was simply too far away to respond quickly. So these landowners turned to skilled horsemen who could defend their lands. These warriors became known as saburao, a word meaning to serve. Over time, that word evolved into samurai. At first, they weren't famous swordsmen. Their greatest strength was mobility. Riding fast horses across mountains and open fields, they relied heavily on the yumi, the long Japanese bow, becoming expert mounted archers long before the katana earned its legendary reputation. As generations passed, these warriors formed powerful family clans. Loyalty to their lord became more than a duty. It became the foundation of their identity. Without realizing it, Japan was creating a new warrior class that would dominate the country's politics, warfare, and culture for centuries. But as these clans grew stronger, they also grew more ambitious. And before long, they would challenge the authority of the emperor himself. By the late 12th century, two powerful warrior families stood above all others, the Minamoto and the Taira. Their rivalry would erupt into a devastating civil war known as the Genpei War, a conflict that would forever change the course of Japanese history. After 5 years of fierce fighting, the Genpei War ended in 1185 with a decisive victory for the Minamoto clan. Their leader, Minamoto no Yoritomo, didn't simply defeat his rivals. He transformed Japan forever. But winning the war was only the beginning. Instead of returning power to the emperor, Yoritomo created an entirely new system, one that placed the samurai at the center of Japanese government. In 1192, Yoritomo was appointed Sei Taishogun, often shortened to shogun. Although the emperor remained Japan's symbolic ruler, real political and military power now rested with the shogun and the samurai who served him. The samurai's reputation wasn't built on skill alone. Over generations, they embraced ideals of loyalty, discipline, courage, and self-control. These values gradually became known as bushido, or the way of the warrior. More than a set of rules, it became a philosophy that shaped how many samurai lived and how they hoped to be remembered. But ideals alone didn't make the samurai feared across Japan. Their years of relentless training and the weapons they mastered turned them into some of the most formidable warriors of their time. Although the katana would become the symbol of the samurai, it wasn't always their most important weapon. For centuries, skilled warriors preferred the yumi, a powerful longbow that allowed them to strike from horseback with remarkable speed and accuracy. But warfare was changing. As battles grew larger and armor became stronger, the samurai adapted once again, this time with longer spears, sharper blades, and one weapon that would become legendary around the world. As battles became larger during Japan's age of constant warfare, the yari, a long spear, became one of the samurai's most effective battlefield weapons. Others carried the naginata, a curved blade mounted on a long wooden shaft, capable of keeping enemies at a distance while delivering devastating strikes. Yet despite the effectiveness of spears and bows, one weapon would come to symbolize the samurai more than any other. Forged with extraordinary skill and carried with immense pride, the katana became far more than a weapon. It became part of a samurai's identity. The katana wasn't simply a weapon. It became the soul of the samurai. Every blade represented months of careful craftsmanship, combining skilled metalworking with generations of experience. Worn at the warrior's side, it symbolized status, discipline, and responsibility as much as combat. While legends often surrounded the katana, its true strength came from the skill of the person who carried it. For centuries, the samurai dominated Japan's battlefields. But in the 16th century, a new invention arrived from overseas. It was loud, unfamiliar, and deadly, and it would force even the greatest swordsman to rethink the future of warfare. In 1543, a Chinese junk carrying several Portuguese traders drifted onto the small Japanese island of Tanegashima. Among their cargo was something unlike anything the samurai had ever seen: a matchlock firearm. Within a few decades, this foreign invention would begin changing Japanese warfare forever. Many believed the sword's age was ending. But one ambitious warlord saw these new weapons not as a threat, but as an opportunity. His name was Oda Nobunaga, and he would change Japan forever. Oda Nobunaga quickly recognized the potential of firearms. Rather than treating them as curiosities, he ordered thousands to be produced and trained his soldiers to use them in coordinated volleys. In 1575, at the Battle of Nagashino, these tactics helped his forces withstand repeated cavalry attacks, marking a turning point in Japanese warfare. Even as battlefields evolved, the samurai endured. But over the next 3 centuries, peace, not war, would transform them more profoundly than any weapon ever could. After decades of warfare, Japan entered a long period of peace under the Tokugawa Shogunate. For the first time in generations, many samurai found themselves with fewer battles to fight. Instead of spending their lives on the battlefield, many became government officials, teachers, judges, and administrators. Their swords remained at their side, but their daily lives changed dramatically. For more than 250 years, this peaceful order endured. But in the 19th century, black-hulled steamships appeared on Japan's horizon, bringing changes no samurai could stop. The age of the samurai was about to face its greatest test. In 1853, American Commodore Matthew Perry arrived with a fleet of steam-powered warships, demanding that Japan open its ports to international trade. The arrival of these black ships shocked the country and exposed how much the world had changed. Within just a few decades, the Tokugawa Shogunate collapsed and the Meiji Restoration began. Japan rapidly modernized, building a national army based on conscription rather than hereditary warriors. In 1876, the government banned the public carrying of swords, marking the symbolic end of the samurai era. The samurai ruled Japan for nearly 7 centuries, shaping its politics, warfare, and culture in ways that can still be seen today. Their story wasn't simply one of battles and swords. It was also a story of discipline, loyalty, sacrifice, and constant adaptation. They embraced new weapons, survived centuries of conflict, and faced a changing world that ultimately transformed their way of life. Yet even after the samurai disappeared as a social class, their influence remained woven into Japan's traditions, literature, martial arts, and national identity. History reminds us that no civilization stands still. Every generation faces new challenges, and those who adapt are often the ones remembered. The samurai may be gone, but their legacy still echoes across Japan and around the world.